You're listening to the Holistic Lifestyle Guide podcast, the show that guides you on your holistic lifestyle journey to a healthy body, mind, and soul aligned with nature. Hello, and welcome to episode number 47 of the Holistic Lifestyle Guide podcast. This episode is going to be the third in a series that I'm doing on the top 5 tips. This is going to be about spiritual health. So the first one I did was about physical health, and then the second one was about mental health. And we're finishing off this 3-part series with spiritual health. So let's get right into it. So having good spiritual health is crucial for overall optimal health. Many people disregard spiritual health because they think if they just go to church once a week, things like that will take care of it. But spirituality is not the same thing as religion. And spirituality encompasses so much more. So we're going to talk about what I think are the top 5 things. If you have to do anything, like let's say you don't have a lot of time, you want to focus on just what you have to do to meet the bare minimum, then that's what these tips are going to be. So the first one is to establish a belief in a higher power. So this seems pretty self-explanatory, but I want to elaborate because everyone has a different idea of what a higher power is. For those of you who are religious, you already know what or who your chosen higher power is. For the rest of us, the ones who consider themselves spiritual, not religious, a higher power can be many things, including nature, which is actually another one of my tips, which I will cover more in depth. But many holistic health experts have said that when someone has a solid connection with something higher and bigger than themselves, they will be healthier overall. And of course, I also agree with this. The unhealthiest people tend to be the ones who don't feel connected to nature. They don't have that connection to the universe or themselves. So whatever your higher power of choice is, whatever name you give it, it is beneficial to devote time to it in a way that works for you. So making it personal, this is what makes spirituality different from religion. And so do whatever you have to do. Just make sure that you're devoting time on a weekly basis, at least once a week, if not more. I think even doing it daily is even better. So as I mentioned, having a connection to nature, this is also important, and this is my second tip, is to establish a deep connection to nature. So even if you are religious, a connection to nature is also extremely important for your overall health, but for many of us, nature is more than just something that we enjoy. This is our religion for some people. Humans are nature. We are made of all of the same elements. So to be disconnected from nature, that means you are disconnected from who you are as a living being. You may think that being out in nature only helps your body or your mind, but it also helps your soul and your spirit as well. Going outside can make anyone feel better instantly. Nature and spirituality are profoundly connected, and one will usually lead to the other. People crave being out in nature when they haven't had enough of it. You feel the longing. It's like a longing in your soul more than anything. You might have heard of forest bathing. This is one practice you can do where you will feel the benefits spiritually as well as physically and mentally. It's easy to live in the moment when you're in nature. Your mind stops chattering, your blood pressure lowers, and your soul is at ease. So as I've mentioned many times, I think that being in nature has unlimited benefits for the body, mind, and the soul. And that's a huge subject, but I had to include it in my top 5 spiritual tips because it's really that crucial. So the next tip that I have is to meditate, pray, or write in a journal, or all 3 of these. And I put these 3 in the same category here because they are all slightly different methods of achieving a connection with your higher self or the higher power, whichever you choose. Meditation and journaling are 2 of the best parts of a good spiritual daily routine. Meditation, of course, has physical and mental benefits as well, but it is something that is more common in spiritual circles, so I really wanted to talk about it in this episode. It's also considered a personal development technique, and anytime you are developing yourself as a person, you grow as a soul. If you have any trouble with meditation, I've actually got an article about easy alternative methods of meditation, so I will leave a link to that in the show notes. Prayer might be more comfortable or doable for you. So I've heard it said that meditation is listening to God and prayer is talking to God. You can use the word universe in there as well. But basically, meditation is being still and listening to anything, to any messages from anyone or anything. And then prayer is asking or talking. It can be also another way of talking about manifestation. So if you don't consider yourself religious, you can think of prayer as asking the universe to help you achieve your desires. It's like a form of manifestation. And writing in a journal, which was actually one of my top 5 best mental health tips, is another technique you can do that will greatly improve your spiritual health. Because journaling can be used along with prayer or meditation or by itself. Either way, it's the act of communicating with your higher self or higher power. And that's what's important here, is the actual act of communicating. I talk a lot about journaling. That's another deep subject as well. And then the next tip here for the top 5 spiritual health tips is to find and live your life purpose. Studies have shown that those who know what their life purpose is and are living it are healthier and happier. This should be of no surprise to anybody, but the question is, how do you find your life purpose? What exactly can a life purpose be? A life purpose does not have to mean a certain job, although it can. It can be an overarching career. It can be a mission or a set of values. It's basically living true to yourself and the goals that you want to achieve. If you establish a connection with your higher self, you should have very little difficulty knowing what your life purpose is. So it's basically following your heart. This is important because what good is knowing what your life purpose is if you don't take action? So your heart will guide you by intuition and feelings. A life purpose will keep whispering to you until you listen. You'll feel drawn to it naturally without having to force it. Life will just flow for you once you start living your life purpose. It won't feel like a struggle. And best of all, it won't feel meaningless because we are here to give life meaning. Those people that don't give life meaning, they lack spirit or passion. So if your soul doesn't feel on fire, then you are not living your life purpose. I also have a article and a podcast episode on how to find your life purpose if you want to dive deeper into that specific subject. And then the last tip that I have for you for my 5 best spiritual health tips is to never stop learning, growing, and evolving. Humans are meant to grow and evolve. Life itself grows and evolves. It never stays the same. It never sits stagnant. Look what happens to water when it sits in one place, closed off from air, from wind, from movement. It becomes unhealthy to drink. It starts to smell. It becomes muddy, green, and thick. So imagine yourself being like that. If you are not moving forward, if you're not learning, if you're not improving, you are turning into that stagnant water. So how can you keep doing this? This can involve many different things, including taking courses, reading books, listening to positive podcasts and videos, getting out of your comfort zone, traveling to places that you've never been to, spending time with different types of people. All of these things can help you on your spiritual growth path. So how does this relate to spirituality? By growing and evolving as a person, we grow and evolve as a soul. It is who you are on the inside that matters. Your accumulation of a lifetime or many lifetimes of knowledge, experience, and wisdom, that is what really matters. If you don't know where to start learning about spiritual subjects, spiritual self-improvement or development. I have some articles on my blog where I list a bunch of experts that you can explore. These experts are where I learned like the bulk of my information that I share. So I will leave a link in the show notes to my list of spiritual experts and also a list of spiritual improvement, self-improvement, personal development experts, people like that. That's a great place to start if you're looking for people to follow when it comes to things like, growing and evolving. It's a pretty awesome thing because there's so much more to the world out there. Many people go through life without really knowing everything that's out there to learn. And this is how I used to be, and that's how I know what a difference it makes to know the right places to look. When you're in school or, at a job, you pretty much are kind of limited to what everybody talks about. I've heard it said that most of the thoughts that we have every day are not our own thoughts. They are given to us by the media, by ads, by commercials, by TV shows, by people that we talk to. So it's important for your spiritual health to search these things out on your own and discover your own information, knowledge, and wisdom. And that comes from, like I said, traveling, learning, expanding your mind, and taking in information that's not in the mainstream. So try to find, obscure information. I'm really obsessed with like the types of information that most people don't know about. It's been hidden, and it's been hidden because, well, this could be considered a conspiracy theory, but it's really just, if you look back at history, some of the most profound wisdom of the ages has been hidden from us. And all of the major religions point back to this. They all have an essence to them, but it's been tainted. It's been changed over the millennia. It's been, everything's, it's like that game of telephone, you whisper something into somebody's ear and they don't hear it correctly. They misinterpret it. They repeat what their perspective is, which is changed from the original. And that's a lot how spiritual or how religion has become. So if you dig deep and find the deeper truths of the world, there's so much out there, and that's just been a major hobby of mine, and that's probably what really spurred me to be more interested in spirituality as opposed to religion, because it all comes down to what we really are as souls, and a lot of things on the surface are not real. They're fabricated, they are illusions, and so that's an amazing subject to jump into. And like I said, the list of spiritual experts that I will give you has a lot of people that talk about these things, so go right to that if you are interested in diving deep into all of these subjects. And of course, I cover some of these as well, and I'm going to be covering more in the future, so stay tuned. Check out my website, holisticlifestyleguide.com. And don't forget to join me next week for another episode of this podcast. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great week.